Hello, everyone. I think we had some technical difficulties with the audio. Can you guys hear me now? I was talking to myself for a little bit. Awesome. Now I can hear everything, and I can confirm that everyone can hear me. So sorry for the delays and the technical challenges that we experienced with running or starting the webinar today. For today's webinar, we want to go over some of the newest features that we released in late 2015. We've actually had quite a late release in 2015 to close the year strong. And on December 29th, actually, we had a release that basically included some of the new features and enhancements to existing features that you are currently familiar with. One of the, to just get to the first features for benefit of time, one of the features or enhancements that we released in December was enhancements to a function called registration form or questionnaire, a feature that you're already familiar with and you likely have used in the past. To just ensure everyone's on the same page is within the PerfectMind system, you have the ability to create registration form for any event. To do that, you will be able to simply create an event in a full detailed view. And in this screen, you actually have a section where it's called registration form. This gives you the ability to ask questions from the registrants of the event, both online and also on the admin side. So if one of your staff members is registering a customer into, let's say, a summer camp or introductory lesson, really any type of events that you might offer. What you're able to do, and you were able to do in the past, is to generate your own questionnaire. So if you I'm sure every business is different or every event is different from one another. So the questions that you want to ask the registrants for the event will change depending on the type of the event. So what you're able to do is to simply click Create New, and you will be able to just design and develop your own questions based on your preferences. And we do give you the opportunity to create questions, types such as text fields, sections, which is essentially headers if you want to separate a form into different areas, having checkboxes, so allowing the ability to the customer to check one or multiple options, radio button, which will allow you to choose one or of the choices that you create for them, so kind of like a yes or no, or basically maybe criteria for, let's say, gender, that they can say male or female. Selected list, which is essentially a drop-down, so again, ability for you to develop a list of different options that the customer can choose from. And lastly, a date field, so things like a birth date or the date they want to start. Information like that could actually be considered as a date field. So this is not new. We've always had that ability, but what we've done, we've improved on this functionality. So firstly, you're able to develop the question as you did before by basically typing the question and even a help text if you want to elaborate more on the question that you're asking. But what we recently introduced is this advanced area. So this advanced area gives you some new functionality. And it's very actually good and useful functionality. What you're able to do, you're able to link the answer of this question to an existing field within the customer. So first of all, the fields that you guys see here does change according to type of the question that you ask. So if you're asking a text field question or developing a question that's using the method text field, that will actually show you or give you the ability to update any of the text fields that are currently within your contact section. These are the text fields that we have by default, or perhaps you actually custom make on your database. So if I'm asking a question such as medical condition, so do you have any medical condition or injuries? For example, this is a question that I might want to ask when customers are registering for, let's say, a tournament. What you're able to do, you're able to simply update the medical condition field. So as the customer answers that question to you, that information does not just reside in a questionnaire specific to one event. That information can actually be saved on the customer file for future use. So this is very important because the next area you will be able to tell the system if you want this question to show up every time, only the first time, or only in situations that the field currently does not have a value. So if the medical condition field, or let's say maybe a birth date, is not already populated, you will be able to choose this option. So until the time that someone selects their birth date, the question will come up. Upon showing basically or populating the birth date on the customer file, then it won't ask that question again. You can also create questions that are specific for employees only, and we're going to go over some of the scenarios for that and how it could be beneficial for you. But these are the questions that essentially by you marking this checkbox will not show up on the online form upon someone going through the online registration, such as the Book Me. All right, so this so far basically is something familiar. We've had a section. So on events, as before, you are able to actually add forms or basically questionnaires. What we've done in this release, we've actually extended this feature to other objects or areas of the system. Now you're able to actually also create registration forms for products. So if you have a product that you want to ask a series of questions upon purchasing it, you will be able to also attach a registration form to it right on this section where it says registration form. So very similar process. If you click on the field, it will show you the registration forms that are available, and you're able to edit the existing registration forms. One thing that you might have noticed is this field, in this example, the options are empty because we actually keep different list of questions for products versus events. We don't want you to have a very long list of questions that are not relevant depending on the area you are. So you are able to create a series of questionnaires or prompts for memberships versus products versus events. Now you might ask why you would like to actually, and in what scenarios you would like to actually ask a question on, when someone's purchasing a product. So I'm going to give you some examples. So I've actually added a questionnaire for that product camel case. So if I actually attempt to sell the product, as you see, the questions come up. And I have some examples of where this can be used. And the first thing is, explaining maybe a return policy or a warning that the customer should know about, that you want your staff members to be notified about or reminded about every time this product is being sold to ensure those conditions or that a return policy is covered. So that option that you've had with an employee checkbox can really be used to improve internal processes. We always create documents and create training material for staff or take the time to train them, but it's important, and they don't always retain all the information, or some of the processes could be missed depending on the situation, depending on the training that the customer has had. So this function gives you the ability to really build in your processes within the system, so you can enforce those questions or those notes to come up every time that item is being sold to ensure your staff members are covering it every time. So I've started with return policy, where you can simply say, I have explained this term. So these are fields, again, or questions that I've created to be internal only or employee facing only. And the next section, I've actually added a promotion. So, I'm mentioning that, to my staff, essentially, when they're selling this product, to tell the customer that now that they're buying a case, they get a 10% discount for the actual product itself. Or maybe, you're not mentioning a 10% discount, you can just remind them that someone who's buying a case, you should talk to them about basically purchasing other products as well. So it's as simple as, proceeding, and as you see, the product gets added to the cart. So let's say this customer was actually interested not in buying the bamboo cat as well, or camel as well, and as you can see, you can simply add it. And if you see here on the top bottom right hand side, we have a little pop-up show up. This is a feature that we had last month, or the release last month, called alerts. So you can actually also create alerts on different products and memberships to essentially better improve your internal processes as well. So simply, when I added this product to the cart, message came up that please use with care, or maybe instructions on how to use it. Really, these are again internal notes that you can show to your staff members anytime that product or being sold or being viewed. I'm going to actually show you guys how to set up alerts as well, since I know it's going to be something that's useful now that you're thinking about internal processes. But one small change we've also done is a clear all. So in this case, let's say the customer decides they don't want to actually complete the sale. In the past, you actually had to X out each item out of the cart manually. With 1 or 2 items, it's not as difficult, but when you have 10 or 15 items in your cart, it does get tedious. So we've actually now have added a clear all option to clear the entire cart. Let's go to that product that we had, which was basically the bamboo camel. So we're going to go into this. I'm just going to show you how the alerts show up. So on the left-hand side, we have a section called alerts, where you can create one or multiple alerts by simply clicking new, typing a message, such as promotional item, and you can give it a color to the pop-up. So maybe within your basically internal processes, you define different colors for different types of messages, so it stands out more. So I can simply choose a color I'm interested in and press apply. Now that I've actually have these alerts, every time I go into the product, as you guys saw, or every time I'm selling this product, the alerts show up. So as soon as I add the item to the cart, as you see, the alerts show up on the bottom right hand side. And if I'm covered them and just don't want to see them on the screen, you can simply click on them to hide them. Now we're going to go over one more example of essentially registration forms that you can use. So let's say in this case we want to sell maybe a membership. So memberships are also where you can really use prompts. So same process, you're able to actually go into the membership section, click on the membership of your choice, and add a form to that specific membership. Upon adding that item to the cart, as you see, simply questions come up. And here's some other examples. So I'm asking basically if there are any injuries. Obviously, if there's a new customer starting with you, it's important to know if they have any injuries to ensure that if you don't basically injure them more. So if someone has asthma, you don't want to make them run for multiple laps. So let's say, just for as an example, we just type in name. So it's asking me for the birth date, and what I've done in the background, I've actually linked this question to the birth date field in the contact section. So if I, let's say, choose January 1st of 2006, then we're going to go into the contact to see how that affects it. And also the belt size. So I have a little help text here as well. This information will be used to ensure the correct belt is ordered for your belt graduation. This information is obviously customizable. So I'm just going to type in, let's say, 7, and has anyone, or have you been referred by anyone? Obviously the question can be customized, so I can basically say, for example, Jason, and I've also linked this question to the field within the within the customer. I can proceed, complete the sale. Just for benefit of time, we're just going to use cash. And now go into the customer itself. So just reviewing it, as you see, the birth date has now been changed to January 1st of 2006. I do have the belt size and also referred by Jason here. So this is also one more example where this feature can come handy. Again, the options are endless. You're able to just, I'm sure you're. All right, so moving on to the next basically question or feature or enhancements that we have is some existing enhancements in regards to the functionality that we currently have, such as the schedule section and the book me section. So a few different things that we've done is to continuously improve the book me function and also the calendar based on the feedback that we've received. In regards to the book me, to just bring up a couple different options. Very small changes, but requests that definitely came through our clients is really the labeling, to ensure that the labeling is accurate or descriptive enough, even on depending on where in the system you are. Such as if you see this example, this client actually has this specific event right now closed for registrations. In the past, the button would read more info. It was actually forcing the customer to click one or go to the next page to be able to understand if the basically event is closed for registration. So we've actually now brought the label right within the book me screen itself. So this way it reduces an extra step and reduces frustration from clients. One thing else that we had was the location field. So in the past, and in this section is actually hidden, every time that you created an event, the event was automatically registered or booked into your main location, so your organizational address. So by design, this was the original design, thinking all the events do happen within your business address. However, based on requests, we've had many requests come through that sometimes events happen outside of the school or the studio. So we wanted to actually, we've introduced the alternative address, which can overwrite the organization address. So if you have an event that's happening in a park, in a rec center, on the beach, you are able to actually type in the address of the location that you want to have, and that location will replace the location information that's listed within the landing page of the event, so on this page, in addition to all reminder emails and RSVPs. So you are able to essentially better communicate with your students and your members of where that basically event is taking place. This would be a very useful feature, especially now that we are coming up to essentially an early summer camp registration. I'm sure this is a function that will be used a lot. Other options that we've done, minor but still very important, are in regards to restrictions. In the past, if there was any restrictions on age, on basically gender, and any information like that, the system, upon seeing a page with multiple options, so we're just going to go into a more intuitive program page that has, it's using the filtering. So we're just going to go here, book an event. This is actually one of the great examples of how book me can be used. If you guys log into richmondoval.ca and kind of see how they've set up different pages on the website with different booking options. It's a very good example for those of you who are interested to learn more about the powers and the functionality of the booking system. So we're going to go into a booking option. So in the past, if in situations basically there was no age defined on any of these events, but it was set up to actually have an age filter, you would have seen no filter option here. Really, it wasn't necessary, especially if there's no option for people to select. So we've done some very minor changes on there to be able to not show those options if they're not necessary or if there are not any values for the customer to select. Also, if the event doesn't have a fee and just has a required membership, so if you have free events for your members, you are able to set those up as well by setting up required extras for the event. But in the past, the system was showing a no fee message, where we have removed that as well. So the experience of the customer is basically seamless. Okay, few more items, and then we can actually go into basically a question and answer period. One thing also that we've introduced in this feature is a function called overdue balance. So we're just going to go into a customer. As you know, customers can become overdue or delinquent by having their payments fail. In the past, it required some investigation on the customer to be able to find out which invoices are overdue, and maybe even sum up all the invoices that are overdue to be able to better understand what is the owing balance. So if the customer walks to the front desk and saying how much I owe you, it was taking few steps or clicks to be able to really calculate the full amount, especially if they had multiple memberships, multiple transactions that they're overdue for. So what we've done, we've introduced this new section called past due. What this section does is actually calculates the overall past due balance from all invoices and transactions that the customer has, and very easily just shows it in one area. So you can simply click the past due option and be able to see all the invoices that are delinquent. You can actually export it to PDF or Excel if the customer would like to have the list. This is if you're sending them an invoice or whatnot. And you can actually select basically the one that you want to pay for, and click the pay button to complete the transaction. In future, we're actually going to support you paying for multiple invoices at the same time as well. So if the customer is overdue for multiple basically months, they can pay all at the same time. One note that, as I've entered into customer, as you see here, the alert showed up on the customer. For those of you who are not familiar, you can, in addition to products and memberships, you can develop alerts also for customers. So as soon as the customer search upon going to their file or going into or booking them into an event, the alert shows up. Even if they're buying an item on in the store and you're searching their name to connect to that transaction, their alerts show up. So if there's information that's employee facing, so you want your employees to know about, such as left their bottle lost and found, or they need to renew their contract, or they need to sign the waiver, all of that information can be communicated to your staff via this alert section. One more thing that we had requests is ability for customers to cash out their credits. So credits is a function that we've had. You are able to get credit by either buying credit. So let's say a family has their kids enrolled into martial art classes or fitness classes, and they want to leave a balance on the file to ensure that their child can buy a bottle of water, a Powerade, or any equipment they need to be able to conduct their classes. So you have the ability to buy credit. So this is the credit that you can leave on the account. Credits are actually shared among the family. So it's a family of 3. They can buy or purchase $100 in credit, let's say, and all the family members will be able to utilize that money towards future transactions. So there were situations, one more method that you're able to get credit is by refunds. So every time a product is being refunded or returned, or a customer is being withdrawn from maybe a program or a course that you guys have to offer, instead of refunding them in cash or using the original payment method they use, such as cash and check, you're also able to simply refund them as credit. As a business, I would personally recommend you to keep the funds as credit on the account. This way, the money still remains in your business, so you're essentially allowing the customer to utilize that money to purchase more services from you in future. So basically, you are able to always do that, and that gives you the capability of better better basically manage the funds within your business. But there are always situations that someone has actually credit on account and now they're canceling, they're completely leaving the business and they have a request to get their credit back. So what we have an ability now is to pay out credit. This is a setting that you can enable within PerfectMind. You can actually enable it by going into the setting area and under billing and under the option credit. Here, as you can see here, you can actually allow credit to be paid off. It's enabled or disabled, which sets up that option to show up. That button is also permission-based, so if you don't want your front desk people to have the ability to cash out credit, you're able to do that as well. But in the case that you want a refund, you are able to just click Pay Out Credit, which the system gives you the ability to use cash or check and leave a note for the full amount or partial amount and pay back the customer. So let's say we want to give them a check. Customer requested cash out and press complete. So as you see here, the balance now changes to $40. And if I go on the history, you can simply see what has taken place. Lastly, a function that I know many of you guys should have. Credit was in the past only was able to be used for new transactions, so in store as a new payment method. So if someone buying a T-shirt or a new membership or registering into a program, those were the areas that the credit was available. What you're able to now do is, let's say this customer now wants to pay their overdue balance. You can click Process Now. Actually, this is a bad example since don't actually have Billing Direct set up. Billing Direct is an automated billing service that we have. So let's use this. You're able to actually, after you have credit on the account, so give me one moment. We're going to just buy $50 worth of credit for this customer using cash that they can use in future. So let's say this $50 was either purchased by the parents or they had basically they had it on their account due to a previous refund. Now, as a new payment method to even pay for existing invoices, you have credit as an option. So you can use that $50 to pay to basically towards part of the invoice. So we can say we want to pay $50 in credit, and as you see now, credit is $0, and the invoice has now remaining balance of $70. So that covers the main features for today. There are some features again that we're going to cover likely in early February. In the meantime, if you have any questions about these features, please ask now, and I'll be more than happy to go over them. All right, so far it doesn't seem like we have any questions. So once again, if you have any questions, you see one. All right, Robin has asked, where do I go to create alerts? So it's depending on essentially what alerts you are creating. So as I mentioned, alerts can be created for products, for memberships, or for customers. Depending what type of alert you're creating, it would be really within that specific area. So if you're creating, let's say, an alert for Arnett here, you would go into the customer file, and on the left-hand side is one of the options is alerts. So you can simply go to the alert section, press new, and type in the alert that you want. The same functionality exists under products and memberships. So if you want to create alerts for, let's say, a product, you go to the product of your choice. And as you see here, there are alerts on the left-hand side. So if you click on it, it'll just navigate to the bottom of the page where you can press new and create the alerts of your choice. Terry has mentioned that she has missed the first part of the webinar. This webinar has been recorded, so we'll share the recording. We started a little bit late, so I don't think you have missed too much. We started about 10 minutes late, so I believe we've covered everything with you, but we will have the recording available soon. All right. We're going to give 2-3 more minutes to ensure if there's any questions. If not, then we can conclude the session for today and see you guys next time. Robin has asked, is the overdue button active now? Yes, Robin, overdue button is active. Couple notes to have is, one, the overdue button will only show up if the customer is overdue. So it's not always showing up with the $0 amount. It only shows up. So here's an example. If I go to Annabelle here, where it doesn't, actually, Annabelle does have an overdue balance. If I go to Andrew Smith, that doesn't have an overdue balance, as you see, doesn't show up anything. But if I go to someone like Adam or Annabella and that they do have an overall overdue balance, you would see them show up. So this function, yes, it's available right away. And also currently this only supports billing direct delinquent invoices. So really the invoices that are marked as overdue here that we processed already and it has failed. Very soon we'll be supporting also the cash and check invoices as well. I hope that answers your question. All right, seems like we've covered all the questions for today. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for attending. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our support team. We'll be more than happy to cover them. And on behalf of PerfectMind and ChampionsWay, once again, thanks for your time today and have a good day.